Let me tell you something that might shake you a little. The reason you're still not successful is not what you think. It's not because you were born in the wrong place. It's not because you don't have connections. It's not because someone else got lucky. And it's definitely not because you're not capable. The truth? It's quieter than that. It's deeper than that. And it's harder to accept. Most people believe success is about opportunity. They believe it's about timing. They believe it's about having some special gift that only a few are born with. But look around. There are people with fewer resources than you winning. There are people with less education than you building empires. There are people who started behind you, now miles ahead of you. So what's the difference? It's not talent. It's not intelligence. It's standards. Success is not built in dramatic moments. It's built in the small decisions you make when nobody is watching. It's built when you choose discipline over comfort. It's built when you wake up tired but show up anyway. It's built when you do the work you said you would do, long after the motivation fades. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You're not stuck because life is unfair. You're stuck because you've been negotiating with your potential. You've been telling yourself, tomorrow. You've been waiting for the perfect time. You've been consuming more than you create. Comfort is seductive. Distraction is addictive. Excuses are convincing. And every day you accept average effort, you silently vote for an average life. But here's the powerful part. If the problem is internal, the solution is too. The moment you stop blaming and start owning, everything shifts. The moment you raise your standards, your results begin to rise. The moment you decide that excuses are no longer an option, your life changes direction. Success isn't avoiding you. It's waiting for a different version of you. And today, that version can begin. Most people walk through life convinced that success is reserved for the lucky, the gifted, or the well-connected. They look at someone who has built wealth, influence, or impact and immediately assume they must have had something I don't. Maybe better parents, maybe better opportunities, maybe a natural talent that set them apart from birth. And this belief becomes comfortable. Because if success belongs only to the chosen few, then you are free from responsibility. You can sit back and say, it just wasn't meant for me. But that belief is a lie that quietly keeps you average. Talent is overrated when it isn't paired with discipline. Luck is temporary when it isn't backed by preparation. Background is influential, but it is not destiny. History is filled with people who started with nothing and built something extraordinary. They didn't begin with advantages. They began with a decision. The truth is, success is far less about what you were given and far more about what you choose to do with what you have. There are talented people who never develop their skills. There are intelligent people who never take action. There are fortunate people who waste their opportunities. And there are ordinary individuals who outwork, outlearn, and outlast everyone around them. If talent were the key, every naturally gifted person would win. If luck were the key, lottery winners would stay wealthy. If background were the key, no one from struggle would ever rise. But reality proves otherwise. What truly separates those who succeed from those who don't is not what they started with, but how they think, how they act, and how consistently they execute. When you tell yourself you lack talent, you give yourself permission to stop improving. When you blame luck, you give yourself permission to stop trying. When you blame your circumstances, you give your power away. And the moment you give your power away, progress stops. Success doesn't demand perfection. It demands persistence. It doesn't require extraordinary gifts. It requires extraordinary commitment to growth. It rewards those who are willing to learn what they don't know, practice what they're weak at, and continue when it's uncomfortable. The shift happens when you stop asking, do I have what it takes? And start asking, what am I willing to do to get there? Because the difference is not hidden in your DNA. It's hidden in your daily choices. The real obstacle to your success is not visible. It doesn't announce itself loudly. It doesn't show up wearing the label failure. It hides in your daily routines, in your thought patterns, in the standards you quietly accept. And because it's subtle, most people never confront it. Your habits are shaping your future whether you realize it or not. Every small action you repeat becomes a vote for the person you are becoming. When you hit snooze, instead of waking up with intention, you reinforce delay. When you procrastinate on important work but scroll endlessly through distractions, you train your mind to choose comfort over growth. When you say, "I'll start tomorrow," you build a pattern of postponing your potential. Mindset is even more powerful. If deep down you believe success is hard, rare, or meant for others, your behavior will follow that belief. You will hesitate. You will doubt. You will hold back. You might even sabotage opportunities because part of you doesn't truly believe you deserve them. Your mind sets the ceiling for your performance long before the world ever does. And then there are your standards. Not the standards you talk about publicly, but the ones you practice privately. The effort you consider good enough. The excuses you allow yourself. The level of discipline you tolerate. Success rises to the level of your standards. If you accept average preparation, average focus, and average commitment, you will experience average results. What makes this obstacle dangerous is that it feels normal. Everyone around you may be living the same way, reacting instead of planning, wishing instead of executing, talking instead of doing. So it feels acceptable. But normal does not equal effective. The breakthrough begins when you examine your daily life honestly. What are you repeatedly doing that moves you away from your goals? What thoughts are limiting your belief in yourself? Where have you lowered your standards just to stay comfortable? You don't need a dramatic life overhaul overnight. You need awareness. Because once you see the invisible patterns, you can change them. Replace one weak habit with a strong one. Challenge one limiting belief with a better question. Raise one standard slightly higher than before. The obstacle was never out there. It was in the routine, in the repetition, in the quiet agreements you made with mediocrity. And the moment you choose differently, the direction of your life begins to shift. Comfort feels safe. It feels deserved. It feels like rest after effort. But when comfort becomes your default setting, it slowly becomes your ceiling. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they become comfortable too soon. They settle into routines that require minimal effort and convince themselves they're doing enough. Distraction is the partner of comfort. It keeps you busy without making you productive. It gives you the illusion of progress while quietly stealing your focus. Hours disappear into scrolling, watching, reacting, and consuming. You feel stimulated, entertained, informed even, but not advanced. Not stronger. Not closer to your goals. The danger is that comfort and distraction don't look like enemies. They look harmless. I'll start tomorrow. I deserve a break. Just one more video. Just 5 more minutes. And those small moments stack up. One day of delay becomes a week. 1 week becomes a month. And suddenly a year has passed, and nothing meaningful has changed. Long-term achievement requires tension. It requires stepping into tasks that stretch your ability. It demands focus when your mind wants escape. It asks you to choose the hard conversation, the extra practice, the early morning, the late-night discipline. Growth lives outside the zone where everything feels easy. But the modern world is designed to keep you comfortable. Instant entertainment, instant food, instant validation, instant dopamine. You no longer have to be bored. You no longer have to sit with difficult thoughts. You no longer have to struggle through silence. And while convenience makes life easier, it can also make ambition weaker. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you reinforce a pattern. Every time you escape into distraction instead of confronting your responsibilities, you lower your resilience. Over time, your tolerance for discomfort shrinks. And without realizing it, you begin avoiding the very actions that would move your life forward. Success requires deliberate discomfort. It requires you to stay focused when it would be easier to drift. It requires you to sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term pride. The people who achieve extraordinary results aren't superhuman. They've simply trained themselves to sit in discomfort longer than most. Comfort will always call you name. Distraction will always offer relief. But every time you resist them and lean into effort instead, you build strength. And strength, repeated daily, becomes momentum. There is a moment in every person's life when everything changes, and it doesn't come with fireworks or applause. It comes quietly in a decision. The decision to stop blaming. The decision to stop pointing outward. the decision to take full responsibility. Responsibility is not about guilt. It is not about beating yourself up for past mistakes. It is about ownership. It is about looking at your current results, your finances, your health, your habits, your progress, and saying, this is on me, not the economy, not your parents, not your friends, not your circumstances. You. Most people resist this because blaming feels easier. When something goes wrong, it's comfortable to explain it away. I didn't have enough time. They didn't support me. The system is unfair. And sometimes those things may be true. Life is not always fair. Obstacles are real. But responsibility means choosing to focus on what you can control instead of what you can't. The moment you accept responsibility, you gain power. Because if it's your fault, it's also within your ability to change. If your results are connected to your choices, then new choices can create new outcomes. That realization is empowering, even if it's uncomfortable at first. Responsibility forces you to examine your habits honestly. It pushes you to ask hard questions. Did you really give your best effort? Did you stay consistent? Did you prepare enough? Did you manage your time wisely? It removes the excuses and shines a light on the truth. And here's the key difference between average and extraordinary people. Average people explain. Extraordinary people adjust. They don't waste energy defending their situation. They redirect that energy into improving it. They don't complain about the cards they were dealt. They learn how to play them better. Taking responsibility also builds resilience. When you know that your actions matter, you stop waiting for motivation. You act because it's your duty to your future. You understand that every decision carries weight, and you treat it that way. You become proactive instead of reactive. Responsibility is heavy, but it builds strength. It demands maturity. It demands discipline. It demands that you stop being a spectator in your own life and start being the driver. And once you truly accept that your direction is in your hands, everything begins to shift. Clarity is powerful because it eliminates hesitation. When you don't know exactly what you want, you drift. You try a little of this, a little of that. You move when you feel inspired and stop when you feel uncertain. Without a clear target, effort becomes scattered, energy becomes diluted, and time gets wasted. Most people say they want to be successful, but success is vague. It's a word without shape. Do you want financial freedom? A specific career? A certain income? A level of impact? A healthier body? Stronger discipline? If you can't define it, you can't pursue it with precision. And if you can't pursue it with precision, you'll always feel busy but rarely fulfilled. Clarity creates direction. Direction creates focus. And focus multiplies results. When you're clear about your purpose, decisions become easier. You start asking different questions. Instead of, what do I feel like doing today? You ask, what moves me closer to my goal? Instead of chasing every opportunity, you choose the ones aligned with your long-term vision. Instead of reacting to life, you design it. Clarity also strengthens your resilience. When challenges appear, and they will, you don't quit at the first sign of difficulty. Why? Because you know why you started. Your purpose becomes bigger than your discomfort. Your vision becomes stronger than your excuses. When you can see where you're going, you're more willing to endure what it takes to get there. Without clarity, distractions win. Every new trend looks appealing. Every opinion influences you. Every setback feels like a sign to stop. But with clarity, you filter everything. You protect your time. You guard your energy. You become intentional. The most successful individuals are not necessarily the most talented. They're the most focused. They wake up knowing what matters. They work with intention. They measure progress against specific targets. They adjust strategies, but never abandon the mission. Clarity doesn't mean you have every detail figured out. It means you have chosen a direction and committed to it. It means you stop waiting for perfect conditions and start moving with purpose. And when you combine clarity with discipline and responsibility, progress becomes inevitable. So define what success truly means for you. Commit to it fully. And if this message sparks something inside you, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.